welcome to another episode of Uncommon Edge.
As the saying goes, it takes 20 years to become an overnight success.
My mom been married 8 times, divorced 8 times.
I was taking that fake it till you make it approach, which is quite literally the worst advice. We received our first eviction notice like in 2015. While I am the gas in the relationship, my wife is the brake.
And without the gas, the brake doesn't go anywhere. Without the brake, the gas goes off the cliff at 100 miles an hour.
We build businesses to create opportunities for teams, for our family. Those opportunities go outside the walls of the business.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Uncommon Edge. I have a great guest today, Matt Schneider. Thank you for coming on.
Dave, thanks for having me.
We're going to unpack a lot today.
A lot to unpack.
I know, we've known each other for how long?
18 minutes, I think.
18 minutes. So watch how good this gets.
Yeah, this is as raw as it goes.
As raw. And here's the thing. We were connected through the Elliott Group, which these people are amazing, okay? And this is the power of, you always hear the power of the network. Well, here it is. This is the power right here. Mm-hmm. So let's unpack it. Mm-hmm. Let's unpack this and have some fun.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
And if we need more Red Bull, there's more.
Yeah. Well, if I start to float, I've got the wings.
Okay.
So I'll try to stay seated for this whole thing.
So I want to hear a little bit about your story, being with your background and everything. As we were talking prior to, we probably should have been rolling that whole time. But here's the thing. I want to let people know, like, what is it about you that gets you to this level that you're at now? And it didn't happen overnight. Like,
No. Mm-hmm.
Everyone, it looks like maybe it happened overnight. But let's go back in time and kind of just unpack a little bit about, who you are and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, man. So, as the saying goes, it takes 20 years to become an overnight success, right? So I, first and foremost, am a husband and a father. I'll be married 20 years this coming June. And our son is 16, only child by design. When he was about 2.5 years old, we felt, my wife and I were having a conversation. We're like, okay, if we're getting all the pressure from the in-laws, right? Like, when you guys gonna have another? When are you gonna have another? And we had the conversation, and ultimately, we genuinely felt like we hit the jackpot with that kid. Like, from the moment he was born, he was a month early because he flipped and was footling breached. Oh, and wow. So his foot was going down the birth canal. And that's a story in and of itself, because we're at the OB's office. She's telling us that his foot's in the birth canal, and she tells us, like, this could be a really serious thing. If his foot breaks through and the umbilical cord gets stuck in the birth canal, then that could be life-threatening to him. She walks us through this whole thing and then sends us home and says, Matt, if for whatever reason this were to happen and you see the umbilical cord come through, you're to put your fingers in her vagina, push it up, and call 911. Okay, so
what?
Yeah, so we get sent home for that, and nothing happened, but we did become parents a month early with an emergency C-section because of the contractions. And even though he was a month early, and it was unexpected, we were prepared at home, but we thought we had more time, only to find this little kid. And I'll back up, because emergency. Have your wife gone through an emergency or a C-section at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
They lay him down. They put a curtain in front of their face, and they're all doped up, but they're wide awake. So I'm sitting next to my wife, and the curtain is covering her face. I think it's so that they can't see what's going on and freak out. But I can see her, and then I can see what's
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. And my background was law enforcement, so I spent 10 years in law enforcement. 5 of that was on the SWAT team, a couple years with the U.S. Marshals.
So you saw some stuff.
Blood and guts didn't bother me, but it is something different when you see, like, somebody you love and would die for, getting cut open.
Correct.
So I see they do the incision, and then the doc, Dr. Kelly Sadinsky, starts pulling things out. She put something that was once in my wife's body, like, off to the side. And I tell Chris, and I said, hey, I don't know what that was, but something that was just inside of you is now outside. And she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, it looks fine. I think it's okay. And it's not the baby. So then a foot, she cuts the bag or whatever they do, and the foot comes out, and then another foot, and then the body, and then, you're looking at this little human that just came out, and he was totally good to go. He didn't have to spend any time in the NICU, and he's just incredible. So 2.5 years old, we're having this conversation. We decide, no, we're good to go. We feel like our family's complete, and
You get a little backlash though from the grandparents.
somewhat. Now that he's 16, I can already see myself being like, man, being a grandparent someday is going to be amazing because
Sure.
little babies being around are amazing, and then when you have kids, they're young kids, all of a sudden the magic of all the stuff like Christmas and going to the park and birthdays and stuff, it re-enters the equation, right? Because of how the kids light up and their beliefs, and so I miss those days. I look forward to when we're grandparents, but he's 16, so hopefully those are
Knock on wood.
several years
You
away.
got at least a good 10, 15, 20-year run.
Exactly. But I will say, though, that inwardly, I was really freaked out. Because, my upbringing and childhood was one that my mom was never taught the way of a successful, healthy relationship. And she repeated a cycle that she was shown when she grew up. And what was always very challenged with having a relationship that would last more than just a few years. She would get married to these guys when the honeymoon stage started to kind of evaporate and problems started to happen because of life. She would start moving that relationship to the off-ramp, but also simultaneously, like the next one would start getting positioned in. So as I grew up, there was this constant revolving door of men coming and going. My mom has been married 8 times, divorced 8 times, and we moved around a lot and things. So as I became a parent, I had made up my mind many, many years prior to that I was not going to repeat the cycle. However many kids I had were not going to experience the same kind of upbringing, uncertainty, and having to be the man of the house,
Right.
well before I was supposed to be the man of the house. Because these guys, they were decent guys, but they were never really there because they wanted to get into a relationship where there was 5 kids and to father 5 kids that ranged in age. So I was freaked out because I was never shown the way. My mom didn't know how to show the way. She did what she was taught. She did the best that she knew how, but she had very few reference points. And so I just concluded very early on, around 10 years old, that I was going to essentially do the opposite of what I was shown.
At 10.
At about 10 years old. And that was because I was showing off some trophies that I had in my room that had different last names on them. But, when you're a kid, you don't know it's like your normal is the normal, right?
Right.
So my friend is like, yeah, that's cool that you got, these trophies for basketball and baseball and soccer and things, but why do they have different last names on them? I'm like,
And
well,
they hate you.
yeah.
Wow.
When I was like, well, you don't have trophies with different last names? He's like, no, they're all the same. I was like, oh, okay. So then I started asking questions and started to realize that our normal was not normal, and started to pay closer attention as to why that was. And that was sort of, I think, that transitionary period of that leaving innocence behind, for me. So, we can get on to the later stages where, once you become an adult, you're given the option, and we're all given this option every day. Do we allow for our past to define our present, or do we let our present define our past, right? And so I choose to let my present define my past and say, I'm not going to take the easy path,
Right.
and go through divorce, and I'm going to allow my past to highlight the resiliency that I was able to develop, and how I apply that to family and business. And
Was there anyone back there in the teen years that was an influence on you, as far as like a family member or a family friend or somebody that there's always that one person that has that impact?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one person for me was Corey Christiansen. I met him in 8th grade in Mr. Ricardo's art class in 8th grade, and he was super serious into motocross, and he was actually someone that I recognized as being stable. His parents were married. They lived in the same house his entire childhood. His parents had never gotten divorced, and he was so serious about becoming a professional in motocross that he was uninterested in what most of the teenagers were doing when it came to the parties and the alcohol and the drugs and things. And so I gravitated towards him because of that clarity, and this is a stable path forward, and one that I can, if I spend more time with this guy, then I'll have less influence to participate in the things that I witnessed as a child, being a big part of why there was so much instability growing up. So Corey Christiansen was that guy for me. To this day, he's still one of my best friends.
I was about to say, are you guys still?
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep. Yeah, we were at the racetrack when everybody else was, either partying or licking their wounds from the party the night before, and so he was that one for me.
That's cool to have that impact.
Yeah, I was lucky to find him.
Yeah, I didn't get any impact until I was 38. But anyway, that's a whole other, this is all about you today. But no, that's really cool though, because you hear these stories of, there's always someone somewhere in that timeline that has that, bam, there it is.
Yeah.
And you're think about it, you're fortunate that happened at an early age.
Yeah. I really am, because people ask, how did you turn out the way you did?
Right.
And I really don't have a very clear answer for that, right? There wasn't, it was just the best that I can garner, and sometimes I wonder if I should do like EMDR, but then there's part of me that's a little afraid of like what could get dug up in that whole process. But I don't have a clarity around what the different parts and pieces were of my upbringing in my life that really helped me stay committed to that commitment that I made to not repeat what I was shown and to break the cycle. And I just think that internally and really subconsciously, I really just didn't want that life as I grew up. I didn't want to have to move around so much and feel so out of control, and so I think I just instinctually gravitated towards that. But that's my thoughts on it. When people who know my story and know how the whole thing went, they're like, you were set up for divorce. You were set up for
just
failure.
a rinse and repeat of everything that.
Yep. So I'm very grateful for the decisions that I have made, and for the support system that I have had, and for my wife, and to have really built something pretty beautiful when the odds were stacked against me.
So fast forward now into the practice and working with your wife, because we were talking earlier about that, husband and wife working together, the pros and the cons and all the things that go along with that.
Yeah.
Let's unpack some of that as well, in terms of like, how did you guys look at that at the beginning? Were you just like, you were both fired up and like, let's go do this thing, and then all of a sudden that excitement piece started to dwindle down, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh boy.
No, it was
or has it been blissful the whole time?
It has not been blissful the whole time. And I would say if anything's too blissful for too long, then there's a lack of pushing.
Yeah.
But the way it started, so I was in law enforcement. I got hired on with the sheriff's office in 2006, and that was my career path. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't one that grew up wanting to be in law enforcement, but found myself really interested in it after going on a ride along with a friend of mine that when I was a bag boy at Albertsons, I'd introduced to my girlfriend, who was Nicole, in the bakery department. And they ended up getting married. They ended up getting married, and as like, I guess, a thank you, once he went from being a checker at Albertsons to a police officer, and this was in Idaho. And
like, that's a big power move back there, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
a big power move.
Yeah.
Yeah, facilitating that whole thing. he took me on a ride along, and I really liked it. I just got a glimpse into this, like, it's called the thin blue line, right? But being that person that stands in between, good and evil, and allowing for all the people that want to just live their lives and pursue their dreams, whatever they would classify or define as being the American dream, like being that line that would allow people to do that without being victimized from those that would try to steal that from them. So I went through a course through Idaho State University, graduated from it, and in 2006 I got on with the sheriff's office, and I thought that was going to be my career path, and really I really enjoyed it. I kind of moved up through the ranks and found myself on SWAT as an entry operator, and I loved that. I think because of this is one of those like blessings in disguise of my upbringing, because I had all this background in moving around and just knowing that no matter what happened, it was going to be okay. And I've always been very hard to shake. I've been very hard to get riled up. And that served me really well in the SWAT team, because when you're entering into buildings or houses where you know somebody's in there that's armed, or somebody in there is going to fight it out, I was always able to keep a cool head about it. And so I contribute that to my background. But I love doing that. My wife hated it because, all the time we were getting calls in the middle of the night, and my phone would page, and I'd go out and she wouldn't hear from me for sometimes an entire day, like 24, 28 hours I'd be gone.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, so she was always on edge. And in many cases, she would figure out some of the details that were happening based on watching the news. Yeah, yeah, so she hated that. And then when I went to the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Team, which it was like an additional assignment within the sheriff's office, it even got worse, because now I was in plain clothes, and now you're hunting the worst of the worst that are absconding and running across country. But I loved it. And then in 2012, an opportunity kind of fell on my lap to become an entrepreneur. And so I consider myself an accidental entrepreneur. I'm a risk taker. I think my background and what I've done kind of speaks to that. My wife is the opposite. While I am the gas in the relationship, my wife is the brake. For many years, I actually was quite annoyed and frustrated by that, until we read a book called Come As You Are. And it talks about how every healthy relationship must have a gas and a brake. We're all both the gas and the brake, but we lean heavily one side or the other. And without the gas, the brake doesn't go anywhere. And without the brake, the gas goes off the cliff at 100 miles an hour. So when this opportunity fell in my lap to become an entrepreneur, my wife really didn't even want to know about it. Like it was really starting to flip the script of all of the certain things that we had going, right? My career path was clear by way of, like, here are the different advancements through the sheriff's office, and here's the pay that's associated with it, and here are the benefits,
the
and retirement.
Yep, all the stuff that people get handcuffed on.
Yep, and she, like, we both enjoyed that, because when your paycheck's supposed to hit the account, you have zero responsibility on how that money gets in the account, but you just know that on this date you can log in and it's there. So when I started really taking a serious look at pursuing this opportunity to open a business, she's sort of just kind of closed down, and it was like out of sight, out of mind. You have those pictures on your wall of the, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. Like, she kind of took that position on the whole thing.
And you guys had been married how long at that time?
So this was in 2012. So this was 6 years, going on 7 years of being married. And our son, he was born in 2009, so he was just a little tyke.
Okay.
And I really started to explore something that ventured into the unknown and the uncertain, which made her very uncomfortable. So her defense mechanism, the whole thing, was just like, do the thing or look into the thing, but I'm just going to be over here and, and not just kind of doing business as usual. Which I took advantage of, because now I don't even have to ask permission or for forgiveness, because I have this plausible deniability / this like excuse that you didn't want anything to do with it. You told me just whatever, so I did whatever, and I just ran with it. So we opened up this business in 2013, like January 2013, and I knew nothing about business. My business acumen was extremely low. I really thought that if you build it, they will come. Like hard work in and of itself pays off, and that is not the way things work. You can work your ass off, and you can work incredibly hard, and if you're working on the wrong things, it won't come. The bills will.
Yeah.
We received our first eviction notice like in 2015 because I had enough working capital to sort of like try to figure things out. What looked good on paper, what papered out was not the way things were shaking out. And that's where I went to my wife and said, hey, I need your help. Like, I know you didn't want to have anything to do with this, but I can't afford to hire anybody. And I need somebody like administratively. And
it's hard when when it's just you trudging through the jungle.
Yeah.
And you don't have that support.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the war that happens inside your head on a daily basis.
And it's hard on the other side too. Like my wife was,
I can imagine.
She was taking an ass kicking emotionally because she knew I was stressed out. She knew I was like things weren't going well, but she also wasn't participating, so she didn't have any insight. So she's like she's just getting drug along in this whole thing. And for somebody who needs stability and security and clarity on, how we're going from A to B, none of that was happening. So that for the first time in 8 going on 9 years of marriage, our marriage started to get impacted. Prior to that, we had an incredibly great marriage. I mean, I could easily count year over year the number of arguments we had gotten into on a single hand.
And then all of a sudden, every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, arguments.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, and it's because of money, right? Money is such it's such an incredibly important piece to the overall equation. And, if people know how to argue about it when it's not there, but don't know how to talk about it, right? And so we didn't know how to talk about it. And I'm seeing myself more and more as a failure as a husband and a father because I'm supposed to be the protector and the provider. I'm supposed to be the one that is honoring the commitment that I made around, hey, this is doing this business and stepping away from law enforcement is not going to put us in a bad position. It's going to put us in a better position and in one that we would never be able to experience without it. And I was falling completely flat on that. So we were arguing all the time about it. She did agree to leave her job, which she really enjoyed, to come and help. And this was all before I understood this power of proximity thing. This was all before I understood how problematic ego is in being able to develop and get help. And I was taking that fake it till you make it approach, which is quite literally the worst advice anybody
I hate when
could
people
get.
say that, fake it till you make it.
You're not going to make it. You don't. So
you're telling me to show up and be completely fake and be a fraud, and then eventually I'll make it.
False. Don't
it's
ever.
It's like, let's go rent a Lamborghini. We'll do some videos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that mentality that, and again, we see that now. But when you're being told that, fake it till you make it.
It's an easy out, right? It's a way of, I think, people convincing themselves that there are better days ahead if you just keep grinding.
Yeah.
Right. And that, today's not the good day, but the good days are ahead. You just got to have to keep doing the thing. But that's all false. Like if you continue doing the thing that got you to where you are, you're not going to have better days ahead.
No.
And the days are only going to get worse because the problems just continue to compound. And I was very thankful. So Corey Christiansen was the first guy that came into my life that helped me really stay on track and not get into trouble. Then after we had opened this business, like in 2015, there was the next guy that really came into the equation that helped me course correct. And his name was Keith Lewis. He owned a road pavement company. And he asked me how business was, how family was, and I was trying to fake it. And he saw right through it.
Was he like, come on, dude?
He saw right
stop
through it.
it.
Yeah, he'd been in business long enough, and he called me out. And people who have friends and family that won't call you out, they may want the best for you, but are just setting you up for failure. Like it's one of the worst things that somebody who really cares for another person can do is to see to see the bullshit, but not call it out.
Yeah.
You know, Keith called it out. He invited me to a little mastermind called the Alternative Board Tab. And that was the first room I'd ever walked into where there was a group of people there working on their business, working on it, and also there for each other. And I was dramatically underqualified to join this because you had to be doing $1 million a year minimum in revenue, and of these other qualifiers, I was nowhere close. But a bunch of old white dudes, primarily with the token female accountant, and they said, "Dude, you represent." What was the word? Anyways, like new life. Like I was bringing in new life because of the young energy and things, right? So they actually invited me in. They gave me a discount on the monthly dues, and I look forward to that meeting every single month because I knew that that was my opportunity to get into a room of other people who were much further along in business than I was, and for me to have not just a sounding board, but like trusted advisors and mentors, and that became the turning point for our business and for our family at a time where we were genuinely starting to circle the toilet bowl of our finances, our relationship, all of the things.
And this is something that I want to point out to our viewers. This is where entrepreneurship is lonely. Is lonely sometimes. And so we want that core group of our friends and family to know like what it is we're going through and what's going on in our lives. The problem is that they will give you advice on hypothetically what you should do. That's why it's important that you limit what you share with your family and friends. And you get into these groups, whether you pay for them or it's a couple guys that you get referred to be able to sit down and talk real talk. Because family and friends will you'll go down a rabbit hole and you won't come back. And that's another pivotal moment that you had to where being around those guys going, okay, I feel comfortable enough here that I can talk my talk and they'll call me out on what I need to do and not do.
Yeah.
Versus the friend that's going to be like, oh, hang in there. Yeah. It's going to be all right. Like, no, you need to go change this, and that. Stop BSing yourself and get down to, the real work. Yeah. Versus telling you what you want to hear, I guess, is really what it comes down to.
I think it's self-sabotage in my perspective to seek that it's okay, or to seek the opinion of somebody that really hasn't genuinely been down that path, that doesn't have the experience. Yep. I really see it as a form of self-sabotage because, when you're asking the opinion or accepting the opinion or perspective of somebody who they don't have the background and the experience, it's being done because they're going to tell you things that are going to make you feel better. It's not going to help. It's just going to make you feel better, right? And again, like, God bless the people that want to see us succeed, but there's also no shortage of people that really, they should know better when they're having a conversation with somebody and saying, look, I hear you. Like, I can feel where you're at. I don't have anything to offer you though, because I haven't been down this road before. And I wish more people that really cared for others would say that, right? And I wish I wouldn't have, in the earlier days, sought out that comfort and been truthful enough with myself to say, if I reach out to this person and, and meet up with them for coffee so that I can explain where I'm at, they're only going to tell me things that are just going to make me feel better in the moment. Right. But I'm not going to walk away from that conversation with anything tactical to make it better. And but I didn't know what I didn't know. I just didn't know until I started going to this group and started really having people push back on the things that I was trying to convince myself of, or make excuses for. And that's really when you care about somebody and you have the background to help. you push back. You don't allow for somebody to make excuses because you know what's in their best interest.
You need to get called out.
Yeah, yeah. And then once called out, you need to do the thing to fix it.
Because if you don't, then
You're gonna
why'd you ask for advice?
Yeah, yeah. And then don't bitch anymore.
Right.
Like, don't complain because your problems still exist, right? That's a really, really good way of pushing mentors and trusted advisors away and not being welcomed to the seat at the table anymore when you ask for guidance that somebody shares that time and intellectual property with you and then nothing is done with it. Like, that's a great way of somebody to not want to do that with you anymore.
No, because it's number one, it's disrespect, right? And it's no different than salespeople, entrepreneurs, kind of in that same category, right? Oh, Dave, I got this problem. Here, go do X.
Yeah.
Day later, 2 days later. So how'd it go? Well, did you do exactly what I said? Well, no, not really.
Yeah.
Well, why? Then why come ask
Yeah.
if you want advice? And it's
Yeah.
the same with business owners and everything else. Hey, I've been down this road. This is what you have to do. A, B, and C. Go do it. Why didn't you do it? Well, see, it's a little different. No, it's not. That's the battlefield in our mind.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I just wish, I always joke, I wish we could, like, in the movies where they try to wipe the brain of the person, you know, turn it up just a little bit, like, another 10%. Okay, are we there? Do you know your name? No. Okay, good. Now we can start.
The old man in black, clean slate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I was a rookie cop, I had a sergeant, Matt Steele, and he'd been on the job for over 20 years, getting closer to 30 years, and it's called 25ing, right? You ever see two police cars that are pulled up and the driver's side windows are we would call it 25. So you'd say, hey, 25 me in this parking lot. And I remember one night, 3 or so in the morning, nothing was going on, so we're just talking, and he says, Matt, I wish that I had a way to be able to put a cable from my brain that I could plug into yours, and I could just give you nearly 30 years of experience and all the things that I've done wrong and all the things that I've done right and things I would have done differently. And I just had the ability to download that into your brain so that you could avoid the pain that I've experienced, but that doesn't exist. He said, so this is what I want you to do. He said, and he gave me this list of things that he wanted me to do to close the distance between the areas where I was ignorant and naive to areas that were factual and things that would help me learn lessons from people that had taken arrows in their back already. And he just really encouraged me to be inquisitive and not allow the ego to get in the way and to, not fake it.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly in law enforcement when you're taking people's freedoms away. If you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble really quickly. But yeah, man, I think that wisdom, it's something that really only comes with time, and the only true way to be able to collapse time to success is to surround yourself with people who genuinely possess wisdom, and to do that as much as you can and as frequently as you can.
Yeah, you can't teach wisdom. It just happens with time and experience. And not all the experiences have to be like horrible or life-changing. It's just you have to experience it. Until you experience something, it's all hypothetical in your mind.
Sure.
But then as you're going through this experience, you're like, oh, yeah, I remember when he told me about that. I need to adjust here. That's wisdom when you start to apply that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can turn around and share that with someone else. I mean, that's when it really starts to come together.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's get into. I want to get into the business with you and the wife. Let's stay on point on that. So now here we are, 2025.
Yeah.
Tell me what it looks like now.
2025. So you're talking about after I fired her twice, then rehired her.
Yes.
And then after I quit, and then the team talked me into back.
Yes.
Okay, so after all that, all right. We started niching down into. So we sold that business I was talking to you about in 2019. Not about a year previous to that, I had met a guy named Bedros Keuilian. Bedros had come up to Idaho. He's the owner of a franchise called Fit Body Boot Camp, and he wrote a book, the Man Up book, and so he was doing some team development stuff in our building because that business was a tactical training facility, a large-scale facility. And so I started to develop a relationship with him. So when we sold that business in 2019, he invited us down to come and work for him, or me to come down and work for him. So I was his executive director of operations for the franchise. This was just before COVID had happened. And Betas was he was already running in the circles with the Ed Milet's and the Patrick Davids and Dean Grazioso. Yeah, like I met a lot of these guys, Sean Whalen. I met a lot of these guys that were coming in for his podcast or different events we were doing. So when I moved to California, my whole sense of what success looked like, it just completely exploded. Like what I thought success looked like from being in a little town in Idaho, in Boise, but going down there and mixing up with people that weren't doing, a few million a year. They were doing, 100 million a year, and building really substantial businesses. So all of a sudden, like my understanding of what's possible just exploded, and then we started this thing called The Project, which was a men's development program. Myself, Bedros, Ray Cashcare, Aaron Alendrino, and then Steve Eckert. The five of us created The Project, and then also something called the Squire program, which is a father-son program. And we ran that for a couple of years together. And during this time that I'm doing this, I had started on the side a consulting company because I knew back when I joined Tab that one day I wanted to have the wisdom and the expertise to be able to help other business owners that were in the position that I was once in, because of understanding how painful it was, to understanding what those arguments look like. I mean, at one point, we had sold both of our houses just to be able to pay the bills, to get the landlord off of our ass and not threatening to evict us out of the building. And so I'd already lived this stuff. And, one day after we sold our two houses and we're living in a little townhome that we were renting, my son's like, "Dad, I don't feel like I have a home anymore." And so that was like a knife being stuck through my heart. So I knew that I wanted to one day be able to take all of these experiences and lessons that I've learned and give back to other business owners. And in 2019 was the time I started feeling really prepared to be able to do that, because I was having more and more business owners asking me questions, and I would give them my advice. They would go do the thing, it would work, and so that I would start gaining more and more confidence in my ability to help consult them. So I formalized it then. It was just general to small business. But then I started having some medical practices come forward, and I really enjoyed working with them because, it's great to help, business owners with their bottom line and to become more profitable and things. But when they have a mechanics shop, or they have, a tattoo parlor, or, construction company, or these others, I wasn't feeling that true sense of big picture fulfillment until I started working with clients in the medical space because of the work that they're doing and how they're helping people. That's when we started to niche down in that space. And so over the last, 6 years, we've niched down into helping medical practices, largely naturopathic, functional medicine, but we also have dentists and chiropractors, physical therapists, speech pathologists, you name it, kind of across the board. And we help them with the operations component of things, the back end of the business, the stuff that they're not taught in school. They're expert clinicians, but they don't know the first thing about business. So our consulting company helps in that way. And we, just because of the way in which testimonials happen and people refer, we have some incredible clients. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is one that we worked with for a while, and we have an incredible endorsement testimonial from her. Dr. Will Cole, Cynthia Thurlow, we're some really, really high level doctors, even outside of the country, from Dubai, London, Australia.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And do you find, especially doctors, I mean, obviously they're a doctor or whatever practice, they have this talent, but then it's behind the scenes, their business is completely just a wreck.
Right.
Because they only know one thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can get labs. They can read the labs. They can read the X-rays. They can prescribe. They can put together care plans and all that stuff. That is what they went to school for. It is what they are ninjas in. But when they start a private practice, they are wearing not just the hat of the clinician and the medical director, but they're also wearing the hat of the CEO.
Can't imagine.
So they, but they're fighters. They went to school for a long time. They really believe in what they're doing. So they work and they fight. But you can only be scrappy for so long and not get burnt out.
Yeah.
So so we handle the piece of the equation that they weren't taught how to do, and we've been really, really successful in that. And in March of this year, one of the clients that I've been working with for a couple of years had opened a primary care, and we engaged with them and ultimately took equity in it, and so we're medical practice owners as well, and really enjoying that process because it's an insurance-based process, so it's a pretty steep learning curve.
Wow.
But applying all of the success strategies and in business and operations that we've seen some exciting growth, and we have some really big plans for it. So it's also fun to be just deeply in the trenches of a practice, in addition to the whole consulting thing.
Right. So now we know where your wife stood when you first got in.
Yeah.
So where is she now?
Yeah.
Where is she now?
Yeah.
In your daily activities and how you guys operate as a husband and wife.
Yeah.
Because you've been married, 20 years?
Yeah, it'll be 20 years this June.
And so now here you are in the thick and thin. So what does that piece look like? What are you finding that's working? Or some days there's still there. I'm sure there's some stuff that goes back and forth. Just like my wife and I, we've been married for 34 years, and it's like sometimes I look at her now just like laugh. She goes, "Come on, you know who I am." She goes, "Yeah, but you just piss me off when you do X, Y, and Z."
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
what? Share what you have going on now.
Yeah. So she's been in the businesses ever since, I recruited her over. Yeah. When I did say, hey, you don't have a job here anymore, that didn't last long at all. It was like maybe a week. And then I realized that was a terrible decision. So she's been in the business all along. Her main role is we have equity in a software company called FitPro Tracker. And so the majority of her role is on that side. But she has things that she's doing with all the different businesses as well. Working with your spouse is not easy, and I have met and worked with lots of entrepreneurs, and some of them they've just always jived, right? Like we just went to Andy Elliott's thing this past weekend, and him and Jacqueline, they are just two pieces of a puzzle that fit perfectly together and complement each other very well. That is rare. There's a tremendous amount of benefit to doing business with your spouse, because regardless of how you try to dissect the equation, the spouse is absolutely part of the journey. And if the business is not thriving, if there's peaks or valleys, the family is directly impacted by that. So my wife is she's fully immersed all in with what we're doing, but we don't work directly together. And so we learned that there has to be a go between us. And so I have a director of operations, and we have the other team on the software side. And so she reports up to them. She does things on that side, and she sticks within her zone of genius, the area in which she's really comfortable in, thrives in, enjoys, and things that work well for her in being somebody that doesn't like to take risks. She needs clarity on what to do, and she does it. She executes, wonderfully when that happens. Not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur, for sure, and so we crossed that bridge a long time ago, where she acknowledges that she's one of those people that isn't cut out to have to make those hard decisions, have to be that visionary, but will not be outworked when it comes to the things that need to get done. as long as that leadership is there and she's part of it. So it's kind of an interesting thing because she's obviously at a level where she's an owner by proxy to me, but at the same time, being an owner or a C-suite type of role,
almost that entrepreneur aspect versus 100%. Entrepreneur.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
so
kind of that's the dynamics with my wife and I.
Yeah, you got to know, you got to figure out what those dynamics really are if there's going to be success.
Yes.
And you can't force the equation. And again, like it can't be a pride thing where it's like, well, because this is my role or because I'm an owner, then inherently I'm able to make these decisions or move forward with this, right? So part of what has proven itself to work for us is she understands that my natural gifts and talents is on the visionary side, is on the ability to kind of see around corners and reverse engineer problems, and I'm not a fantastic implementer. Right, so I can see all the things and I can but I need somebody to implement. She's not the one to do the implementation because our working together doesn't work, right? So we have a chief of operations that is that implementer for us, and that's been our recipe for success, is building out the team and putting people in the right seats based on their zone of genius and where they're really going to thrive.
That's cool that you guys have been able to figure that, because there's some, and we talked earlier before the podcast where guys will come up to me like, dude, how do you work with your wife? Mm-hmm. How do you not? You know what I mean? I just, looking now at what we've created over the last 10 years, it's like, oh my God, why couldn't we have figured that out sooner? Yeah. But again, you have to go through certain things, the ups and downs of marriage alone, let alone business. I mean, marriage and business, those are two separate deals. And then you combine the two together, and we always joke, sometimes we'll go out and grab a bite to eat or something, and we'll be sitting there looking at one another. Like, we're not going to talk about anything except just us.
Sure, yeah.
It's like you order the food, you sit there, you look at one another. All right, all bets are off. So then we'll bring it together. You know what I mean? And joke, because that's what we enjoy business. Mm-hmm. Like that's our sport. That's our hobby. That's what we do. And it's something that we're both passionate about.
Yeah.
So when you have a husband and wife that are passionate about something together, it's like, oh my God, go all in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part where some people are like, yeah, but I need a break from it. Do you?
I think you do. I think you do to the degree of it could be so easy to just let that be what life is, when life is so much and should be so much more, right? And it takes a lot of intentionality to lean in on the things that are meaningful to the other half that are outside of the business, right? Like we build businesses to create opportunities for our teams, for our families, for the clients in which we serve, and those opportunities go outside the walls of the business. And so I mean, I'm right there with you. It's tricky. We do date nights Wednesday evenings, and it's easy to fall into the trap about talking on business, but then we're not talking about, like, our son just got his driver's license, and
that's a whole thing.
That's a whole thing, right? And like, how do we feel about it? And he's a year and a half from graduation, and like, what does that mean for us? And like, what do we want to accomplish in that time? He loves to travel the world, and we're very fortunate to be able to provide opportunities. And this last summer we went to Tulum, we went to Japan, we went to Coeur d'Alene, we went to Vegas. We were all over the place doing all kinds of things, and we work our asses off, and we're doing it to be able to create opportunities and to create memories. And I think those are conversations that are really important as well.
It's the moments that count. Yeah. I hear so many times, I'm designating, this time like it's a job. Like Sunday is this time that, okay, so now you're looking at it as a task for this time. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's the moment, right? It's these little moments that just kind of pop up, and you enjoy that moment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those little moments are so much more impactful than a whole day of, okay, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, we're not working today, so I wanted to take the time so that we could have a day off.
Yeah.
And then it turns into this kind of like awkward fake day of family time.
It's easy to do, man. This is an easy trap to fall into. And there was something that Andy and Jacqueline talked about, which is to be where your feet are, right? And that just takes real intentionality. You really just have to be paying attention to either what's happening to enjoy it or to create the moment that you're talking about, right? Like you have to do things that allow for these moments to exist and these memories to be made.
We're going to have to do a follow-up here in another 6 to 12 months. See what your son is up to and see how the driving thing is going.
Yeah, he got his driver's license in the mail the day before we came up here, and so hopefully it's all good news when we check back up with you. But it's scary as a parent for sure.
Well, it sounds to me like we're going to be seeing a lot more of each other, so
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing the updates and stuff.
Yeah, I'm pumped for this Elliott Army Brotherhood thing.
Let's go, baby. 2026. We're off and running.
Let's do it.
Well, again, appreciate you coming on today. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, hit the like button, subscribe. I want to hear what your thoughts are, so make some comments down below. And as always, let's make it a great day.